In the early days, they used to say, "What's your rates?" And I go, "My shoe size plus 5." Okay, so what we talked about this morning is it's an 8-year-old picture, so it looks so good there. What we talked about this morning was success is not easy. But I had those meerkats up there because I kind of wanted to, one, give you an idea of my father-in-law, and then number two, what I'd like you to do is think about yourself in the sanctuary. So when I say success is not easy, you're supposed to say, and it doesn't come cheap. All right? All right. So first of all, success, and this is our dry run, success is not easy, Lila. And you respond,
it doesn't come cheap.
And it doesn't come cheap. You know, this is a slide from the first quarter of, it's another historical slide. And as you can look at some of the names on this slide, what you see is that some have propelled forward and took awards this past quarter. Some are still the same, some are a little bit flat, and some have left. So I guess when I think about, oh my gosh, we have so many valuable people in the company, and it doesn't matter whether you're in sales or not, what is going to be your story? Are you on the way up? Are you reaching for higher heights? Are you busting heads and taking names? Or maybe when you get up in the night, are you kind of feeling like you're in purgatory or in quicksand? Are you the man or the gal? Or are you on the periphery? A bit part in a B movie or mainline star? I think even deeper, where are you in life? Or what is your slotting, let's say? Have you accepted it? Do you feel that the monthly results are beyond your control? Or something that you have an amazing amount of impact to? More importantly, right, depending on where you are you good with this? Are you good with where you're at? I was on the elevator, recently, sweating like that. I was just sweating like, I just got back from a run. I got on the elevator, and I saw a lady, and we were both wearing spandex. Now, does spandex mean that it's tight, and is it lycra if it's bossy? I was wearing lycra. She was wearing spandex. And she commented to me while we were on the elevator, what do you do in an elevator, right? I come up and down to the 11th floor every day. Sometimes I just don't know what to say. So she was just as uncomfortable, and she says, yeah. No, I'm sweating like a pig. She says, yeah, in parentheses, I do have spandex on, but I have a problem getting motivated. Even the Apostle Paul said, I don't not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I don't do. But what I hate, I do. Romans 7:15. We all have our demons in a sense, don't we? Those little voices that say, you're good, we're good. You don't need any more, you got enough. I got to show you, I asked my good friend Carl Kolb, I said, hey, text me your picture, because I'm going to use you in the town hall. I love a lot of the quotes. All I got was a question mark, so I stole it off LinkedIn. This is the same Carl Kolb, and I've known him for over 20 years. And he's an engineer, right? And he always says, Phil, we're all in sales. Like he knows. And and this is Carl. He'll always give me a profile picture, and he goes, yeah, I'm working on my before picture. He's a great guy. Carl is a huskular guy, as you can kind of tell. I kind of did that. I kind of widened the JPEG just for effect. But Carl is a huskular guy, but the guy can hump it. He ran the marathon. He lives in Spokane, but he ran the marathon in San Diego, and I told him it was all downhill. He is always running, runs under a 7-minute mile, and he's climbed Mount Rainier. I don't know about Kilimanjaro, but this is an active guy that gets after it. You know, and Carl would be leaning in when he talked to me, success is not easy. And it doesn't come cheap. You know, what he would do is he'd lean into me, and this is kind of in the early days when I started running. He goes, Phil. Yeah, Carl? To get a faster time, you need to run faster. It's kind of like silly things my dad said, right? But he would also say, to run distance, you need to run further. I know, so obvious, right? But you know the moral of the story, and this is something that Carl told me about 18 years ago, is that many quit after the first 2 miles. And you know why they quit after the first 2 miles? The first 2 miles of a 5-mile run is the toughest. Anybody that has ever went running, the first 2 miles are pure Hades. Chew on that for a little bit, and let me come back to some fundamentals, and then we'll get back to what we were talking about. I read a Glassdoor, as many of you know, it's an online site. I read a Glassdoor survey one time, and it was just about a couple weeks ago, and somebody had said, yeah, I took the job at Balboa Capital because I got a salary, and it's kind of a little bit low, but I'm just hanging out. I'm just hanging out until I can get something else. That's kind of disappointing. I also, and I always tell our sales leaders, ABR, man, we have always got to be recruiting. Somebody that I know that works in the building, not at Balboa, had said, hey, I'd like to try sales at Balboa Capital. I go, well, what are your qualifications? And he goes, well, I'm going to college, and this coffee shop is kind of making me stressed. So you want to try sales as an alternative for making lattes. And Field, I didn't mean anything by it. You know, I put my top 5 together for our sales leaders, and I got all fired up, and as you can tell, sometimes I'm like spitting. But the one thing that I would say is that I'm going to leave you my top 5, then we're going to get back to success is not easy.
And it doesn't come cheap.
That's right. Number one, right, whether you're in sales or otherwise, you got to show up. And you got to show up on time and be professional. I think that if you look the part, you know you look the part, and you're ready to take what life's challenges are. Number 2, and this is part of our DNA, you got to make the calls, right? You've got to make the calls. You've got to work on the fundamentals. So if you show up in a t-shirt that has a lot of holes and cargo pants and broken thongs, and you don't make the calls, you're not going to make it here. Number 3, you've got to consistently extend our value proposition, regardless of which sales channel or what operations department you work in. You can't wander. You got to stay on task, right? You got to sound compelling. Have you ever talked to somebody who's trying to sell you something? It's so dry, you just go, kill me now. But people want to buy from people that are compelling, that people that are interested, people that feel passionate about what they're doing. They want to be part of something. They want to see your vision like you see your vision. You got to be compelling. You got to consistently extend that value proposition, and you can't bear it. Number 4, you have to have conviction, right? Be passionate about what you do. And number 5, close with every call. If you talk to every sales leader, they will say, whether you're in sales logics or otherwise, you've got to move the ball forward. You've got to know where you stand in the sales process every time you get off the call and every time you shake the hands and move on to that next appointment that you have. So in summary, right? Number 1, you've got to show up on time. You've got to be professional. You've got to look the part. Number two, you got to make the calls. You have to. You saw it with Patrick talking about Dave. There is no substitute for work ethic, and that is our badge of honor at Balboa Capital. Number three, if you're gonna consistently extend our value proposition, you gotta know it. You gotta know it in and out. You gotta know it better than our customers. And that is very, very important. Number four, you gotta be passionate. You gotta be compelling. You gotta want somebody to want it like as bad as you want it. If they hear that excitement in you, they're gonna buy from you. And then it's just natural that you close. You know, I was reading something in LinkedIn recently. Probably you guys that get LinkedIn Plus. I love sound bites. I love idioms and axioms and adages and dictums and aphorisms, mottos and truisms. At least today, you probably encountered a trendy trend. This is directly from LinkedIn, where the use of words is concerned nouning and verbing. Anybody see this? Verbing is easy. Take a verb and turn it into a noun. Instantly it sounds cooler, hotter, fresher, hipper for now. Nouning is a little bit trickier, but nothing you can't handle. Turn a noun into a verb, place it in a perfect spot, and now you're cutting edge. It's well beyond synergy. As in David White, setting up that meeting with their VP of sales, that was a huge get. Get is now a verb. Ask, as in the sale, was a huge ask for the company with a limited budget. Well done, Dave. Dave is clearly superstar. So remember, when you hear about nouning and verbing, you heard it here first. But now those are the new sayings. Let's go back to the old sayings, you guys. You've heard it put in one step in front of the other. You've heard one game at a time. Don't get ahead of ourselves. It's more of a marathon, not a sprint, and stay within yourself. You know, if you go on, and now bringing it into for a landing, there are other sayings too that are very familiar in what we do. It's the connecting of the dots. It's staying in between the lines. It's coloring by the numbers. To uncover the story of a book, you have to read the pages. But if you really, and this gets back to in conclusion, if you really want to run through the tape, you in fact, like Carl said, you need to run further. And you need to run faster. You know, just finally, I run like Quasimodo. You think I was a good runner, I'm not a good runner at all. If you ever saw me, you know, I'm kind of like this, and I'm like in pain, and your exclamation would be, oh, that's ugly. He's not a runner at all. The last thing I could ever be is a running coach, but I can tell you this. I can tell you this about what we've been talking about today. It becomes a habit and an expectation of yourself when you continually and without fail finish the run. Even when you don't want to do it, right? Some people say, hey, and I'm just using running. Well, I came out and I was going to run 5, but I didn't feel that good, so I ran 2. Well, I was feeling a little bit better, but I had to get to dinner, so I ran 3 instead of 5. But next week I'll do 5. I think what my call to action is that whether it's running, whether it's lifting, whether it's your health, whether it's business, whether it's your personal life, if your target is 5, then don't do anything less than 5, regardless of the situation. Because here's kind of what happens. And I got to tell you, it's magic. It's a lot of what we were talking about with Dave earlier. The more you expect of yourself, the higher the standard you have. The better you become at it, the better you feel, the more confident you get in yourself. You raise your standards for yourself and you expect it. You expect it of yourself and you will not settle for anything less. That's the magic of it all. So yeah, success is not easy.
And it doesn't come cheap.
So do the tough things, lastly, do the tough things and take control of what you can control, which is your success. And I'm leaning in just like Carl. I'm leaning in just like Carl. If you want more apps, you need to make more calls. If you want to make more money, you got to book more deals. Thank you very much.